Hello and welcome to the Calmcast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Claire Downham, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calmcast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So today's little investigation is around a word I think I've made up, which is wrongification. I kind of came up with this word yesterday, although I think I've probably used it before, but it came to mind yesterday because I was commenting on a post about working on a Sunday. So a lady had put that she absolutely never works on a Sunday, which is brilliant, to have that kind of guide for yourself, if that feels what's right to somebody. But it made me think that I do sometimes work on a Sunday. So I'm a really, really early riser. You may have gathered that. I wake up really early, and I quite often in the early hours of Sunday morning, I actually just get out my phone, or I get out my computer and I'll do a bit of writing, or I'll do a bit of social media stuff, or I'll get my head clear for the next week and contemplate what I'm going to do and what I'm hoping to achieve, or whatever it is. And, I may be there for, until the point at which I poke my other half and say, come on now, you've slept long enough. It's time to wake up. I quite often say to me, you're really boring, while you're asleep. And so I do it until that point when I've kind of had enough, and it seems to make sense to stop. And then I may do other things the rest of the day. Sometimes I'll work other parts of Sunday, but mostly the rest of the day I'll go out for a walk, or go see friends, or go do something sociable, or whatever it is. And that's okay for me. It might not be okay for someone else. Someone else might prefer not to work on a Sunday, or think that's wrong in some way. But I think there's, as we're doing life in the moment, and that's really what it is. Some Sunday mornings I will wake up and I will read my book in bed, snuggled up, and not do any work. And then other weeks I will do some work. And it's all okay. What I'm pointing to here is that everything's okay until we say it's not. And if we've made up a rule for ourselves, or we've picked up a way of doing things from somebody else, and then we look at our lives and our way of doing it in this moment, and it feels wrong, then that's just another layer of thinking that we don't really need. The wrongification of things is another layer of thought. And, this morning, I've just felt a little bit tired, and I did a really long walk on Sunday, and sometimes that can knock me a little bit because of some underlying health issues I have. So this morning I haven't done any exercise. Now, there was a me in the past who would have utterly wrongified that. I would have felt bad about me. In fact, I would have probably not done that. I would have carried on and done the exercise despite feeling grotty. I would have forced myself to do some exercise. I had this thing where I thought that if I didn't do it, I'd somehow break the habit and never do it again. That was the wrongification story that I had running. And so then I would force myself to do exercise and really not feel so good as a result of that. My body this morning is saying, don't do any exercise. There's a tiredness in my body. I feel it in my body. It's not coming from my thinking. It's coming from a connection to what my body is saying to me. It's saying no. But of course, then the chatter in our heads wrongifies that. And so then we force ourselves to do things that really we're not perhaps in the right place physically to do, or that we're not in the right place energetically to do. So that might be, I have to empty my inbox before I leave work today or step away from my desk. So, and it's wrong not to. So I'm going to carry on. And of course, that can lead to us really being quite exhausted and I guess anywhere where we're wrongifying what we're doing, we're just creating more thought. And what there is to know about having a head full of thinking is that really is the root of stress. None of that stuff outside of us that looks like it's the root of stress is really the root of stress. The real root of stress is having too much on your mind, thinking about things too much, overthinking things, having worrying thoughts, and having wrongified thoughts, making things wrong, making us wrong. But it's a really easy trap to fall into, isn't it? Because we make up enough rules for ourselves, don't we? All the time. I need to do life like this. Life's not going to be right if I don't do it like that. I'm not going to be okay if I don't do life this way. So over time, we've established some quite rigid boundaries for ourselves. And as well as that bringing about the wrongified thinking, what that also does is it takes away from the presence. And the two things I've described to you, me working on a Sunday morning sometimes and then not sometimes, and me exercising or not exercising. In those moments when I decide those things, it's an in the moment decision. Where we've set out a set of rules for ourselves on how to do life, they're not in the moment decisions. They're rigid, I guess you might call them boundaries. But that disconnects us from our in the moment decision making ability, which is pure because it's happening in the here and now, like me listening to my body this morning and not doing any exercise, and me listening to my guidance on a Sunday morning because I'm inspired to write something or do something that feels interesting and exciting in that moment. That's real-time responsive intelligence, which is one of my favourite phrases. I stole them from Michael Neal, by the way. But it is a beautiful summary of that guidance. It's happening in the real time. It is responding to what is there, and it is intelligent beyond this whirring intelligence that we often defer to, the noise in our heads. I heard Michael Neal say something this morning about a book. I can't remember the book title, but something like, the voice in our head that sounds like it's coming from God, or that it is God. That it isn't really. It's just habitual thought that's been round the block more times than any of us need to consider. So there's all those rules we've put upon ourselves that we feel we're going against, and we wrongify ourselves for going against those rules. And then there's all the stuff we get from looking around us to see what other people are doing. Oh, I've got to do my social media like this, or I've got to do my business like that. And I've got to do it a certain way for it to be okay. Do I think we're just unfolding perfectly, moment by moment. But as soon as we think we're not, that's where discomfort comes, and that's not actually where change comes from. It's a mistake that we have to wrongify ourselves in order to change, because wrongification increases thought, And real change comes from a clear mind and insight, not from loads and loads of thinking. So perhaps there's just an invitation here to bring some awareness to the thoughts you're having where you are wrongifying yourself, where you're making yourself wrong in the moment. You're going against some rule you've made a long time ago that's been around a long time, but in the moment your guidance is saying do something else and you're not doing it, whatever it is, because you're wrongifying that in the moment guidance in order to default back to some rule that you made ages ago. So just bring some awareness, just notice your wrongifying thoughts and see what occurs. Take care. Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calmcast with Claire Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.